Good morning, everyone. So, as you can see, I'm just waking up. My hair is a little bit of a mess, but I had the itch to drop in with you guys today because when I wake up, sometimes I get barraged with information that is very pertinent and relevant to what's going on right now. And these messages come from different angles. Some of them come from angels. That's interesting. Some of them come from angels, and for me, when I work with the angels, I always know because they are directed on a personal level. So the angels tend to work with individuals, and even when I'm speaking to a group, I will speak directly to you. They are not so much concerned with, and again, there are different categories of angels, but a lot of the angels I work with have to do with you and empowering you and uplifting you. And usually they're very good at giving me foresight, at giving me prophecy, at giving me previews of what you should be on the lookout for. And then the higher dimensional beings, which I would term the extra dimensionals or the guides, they usually give me an overview or a briefing about what's going on collectively. So I work with angels and guides. I haven't decided if I'm going to call them yet because it's the best way I can explain it. I know exactly what it is. The best way I can explain it is like these beings that fly into the right side of my ear with all these messages. And from one perspective, you could say that it's my team. So all of my parallel selves that are working in cooperation and in collaboration with each other. And from another perspective, you could say it's my higher self who is able to see everything from the bird's eye view, whom I like to split from so that I can receive that telepathic transmission. And from another perspective, it's so much more than that. It's angels, it's guides, it's interdimensional beings. And the best way I would describe it is that as you're watching this now, there's going to be a dominant frequency that you're holding within your body. And then if we multiply that by 50 of you who are watching this or hundreds of you who are watching this, the guides will usually come in. Think of them as frequencies that fly in with wings. And it feels like a zip file, and it happens very rapidly. But when I say the guides, it keeps that stream open or that channel open, and they continuously share more and more and more and more. So they are me, and they are other beings. They might be your guides, but they don't always share the totality of what they want to share. They're going to share what's most important in this now moment, right? They're going to tug at my shirt and say, someone needs to hear this, or the collective needs to hear this. So from that perspective, it's not me, because there's so much that I know that I want to share. But they sometimes pump the brakes on me, and they say, we don't want you to share that now. It's too much for people. And then, conversely, they have a lot more that they want to share. But they also recognize that the evolutionary process of this human advancement, or us propelling forward on this path, happens gradually, and we have to deal or work with what's in front of us in order to bring more of what's beyond us or upstairs or from within. We have to be able to work with what's in front of us always, and that's why they always tell me a lot of the reason why your memory's been wiped or swiped or erased and you have that veil of forgetfulness is because you really don't need to concern yourself with your past. You will remember your past lives as you march along your path. When your mind is loose or when you're not overthinking, that is conducive to you receiving visions of past lives or future lives that are really all happening concurrently. So the guides fly in and they're constantly giving me messages, but it's not the totality of what we know. There's a lot that I know that I don't share. There's a lot that they know that they don't share. And some people say, but please share it. But the thing is, no, we can't do that. There are laws. And how can you expect to have a civil conversation with an extraterrestrial if you're not yet able to do that with yourself? So that's just one prime example as to why the guides know what to share and what not to share. And they will always divulge the information that is suitable for you in this now moment. Because remember, once you step outside of the construct of time, it doesn't matter how much we share because it's all here now. What it boils down to is, can you use this information to mold or remold yourself like clay, or to up your frequency game? Can you do that with what's here now? Because nothing exists outside of this now. So even you reaching for, but please disclose what else you know. That's you not being in your now. That's you stepping out of your alignment to reach for something that's really part of an illusion. So it's all about bringing your focus inwardly, and I like to say it's all about inverting your gaze, okay, and keeping your eye on the target, on the bullseye, which is your heart and your pineal gland, and remaining open enough and loose enough to be in that receptive mode to receive more messages. So the best way I would describe the guides, and again, I'm still contemplating, but I'm a Virgo, so when I make a decision, I make a decision. Via Dot was a decision. It was like this unshakable, unquestionable thing. Via Dot, Mr. Dot, feel good. That was unquestionable. And obviously unmistakable, because it's one of my main teachings. And if you're not familiar with that teaching, I'll be talking about it and elaborating more on it in the future as well. But for now, there are videos that you can refer back to on my YouTube. So I only kind of put a pin on something if I know for certain that it has longevity and that it will be sustainable. So I haven't given the guides a name because from one perspective, it's not really the guides. It's an aspect of the guides, and there will always be different frequencies that decide to synergize and to come together in an effort to serve your asking, to serve your question. But it is the same energy, if you will, that the Esther Hicks and the Theo and all of these different groups channel. It's an energy. I used to call it a blob, and that's one description, but it's not 100% accurate in terms of how I receive and source the information. It's more like these particles or these orbs that fly in, like owls that have a message in a bottle and they drop off the bottle, and I receive it before it's even dropped off, or I receive it in real time. Again, when you're not operating within the construct of time, it's all happening simultaneously. And for me, it always comes from my feminine side, from the right brain, which is the artistic expression, which is the creative brain. And I don't have to try. It's just my brain is lit up. All right. It's almost like you light up these different regions in your brain, and now you're linking up to a cloud. And the messages come in different fashions. Sometimes it's clairvoyant, sometimes it's telepathic, sometimes it's both. And again, it's a combination of things. It's a mixed bag. It's me. It's all of my parallel selves. So it's all these other dimensional beings who want to serve this moment. It can be your personal team that is nudging me to share something with you that really corresponds to your situation, which is why sometimes you might have an epiphany and you might say, I know you were speaking directly to me because I was. So I want to say that it's a conglomerate or a cluster of energies from all over the universe, the angelic realms, the Pleiadian realms, the Arcturian realms, these non-physical beings, they're non-physical energies, that when there's an asking, or even when I'm doing a video right now, you and I are already quantumly connected, meaning we are intricately connected and linked. And so through that, there are energies that are going to sweep in, right? Like an orchestra, like different instruments that harmonize and synchronize. They're going to sweep in to serve through me by delivering a message that is pertinent to you. Okay? So I don't know why I wanted to share that. I've done many videos as to how I perceive guides. One of them is that it's a wave that rolls forward to the shores of your consciousness when you have an asking. Because remember, every question that you have holds a frequency. So every question will pulse out a frequency. And then if you can imagine that that frequency then ushers in or invites this wave that is part of the ocean, which is source, which is the all that is. But there's a wave that answers your frequency. So the verdict is still out as to whether or not I will give them a name. It would make, in a way, it would simplify my life, because now that you guys understand what this is, then from one perspective, it would simplify my life. But I haven't decided yet, okay? For now, let's just call them the guides and the angels. So I just woke up about half an hour ago, but when I wake up, I'm wide open and I receive flurries of downloads for the collective. And one of them was that our task as a light worker, as a starseed, as a way shower, as a galactic shaman, our task is to be able to hold a space for humanity, for the people in our immediate vicinity, for the friends in our immediate circles. Our job is to be able to provide them with a space where they can feel safe. Because remember, a lot of us don't feel safe. We have a history of being in fight or flight mode or in survival mode and having all these defense mechanisms and self-preservation mechanisms. And so if we can step up or step in as these space holders for people, then we allow them to express everything that's on their heart. Even if it's that they're venting, even if it's that they're airing their dirty laundry, we're providing a safe space for them to know that there's not going to be a rebuttal. There's not going to be an attack on our part, that they can feel safe. And through that, we are facilitating a uprooting of what they've been pushing down and shoving down for a long time, that they probably attempted to open up to other people with, but those other people shut them out, or they were very quick to interject themselves and give their 2 cents, so the healing wasn't able to complete itself. So as these way showers and as these charters of this path, we are the ones who hold a space not only for others, but also for humanity at a telepathic level, meaning how we choose to either be reactionary or non-reactionary. Even in the comfort of our own homes, every thought that you have, you can hold a space for and not judge it. But we are also here to hold a space for ourselves. And that's probably the most important piece, because everything is created from within us. Everything is part of the one, and we are an aspect of the one, and the one lives within us. And so when we're able to hold a space for ourselves, and we put ourselves first, if you will, then you're actually doing a great service to humanity, because then there's an understanding that there is no separation between you and humanity, that all of humanity and the entire cosmos and all these other beings and all these other star races that are learning from us as well live and come from within us, and different energies will be catalyzed within us, right, that hold memories. The cells in your body hold memories, and those will get activated when it's time for a clearing or an uprooting. And so if we're able to hold a space for ourselves, then the byproduct of that is that holding a space for others will become a great joy. It will become an activity that we partake in, that we thoroughly take pleasure in. So my message for you today is that I was getting a vision earlier that there are crickets in the field, right now. There isn't much movement. There's no one for you to turn to. There's nothing for you to do. And there's nowhere for you to be. Okay? This is just a very interesting space that we're in at this given time, because there isn't much movement. So I was getting crickets in the field, but a more proportionate vision as it relates to what you're experiencing is that you're on a canoe and you're in the middle of the lake and you have paddles, but for some reason you're not supposed to pick up or reach for those paddles. You're not supposed to reach for those paddles. It's like God's source, your guides, your higher self, your universe is saying, no, we actually, there's nowhere to go. So just sit here, lie here, and just contemplate and meditate and allow yourself to just be. Because there's nowhere to go right now. There's nowhere to be. And so then I asked my guides, well, why? And they said, because you are learning how to hold a space for all the moving parts in your body, for all the cells in your body that I like to call fairies. All the little cells in your bodies are like these little beings. They're like these little fairies. And when you hold a space for the cells in your body, then at a molecular level, at an atomic level, at a subatomic level, you are permitting them, you are allowing for a transformation and a rewriting and a retuning process to occur. But if you're always moving around, then you're interrupting their process. In other words, you're inhibiting your own growth. And the cells in your body hold consciousness. And so they have a mind of their own, and they have certain things that they want to achieve within you as well. So in the larger picture, you might be a cell in the body of God right now, because as above, so below. Which is why I always say to people, who are you to kill a spider? Who are you to kill an ant? What makes you think that your life is so much more important than theirs? As above, so below. I save insects. I always say that I'm the beekeeper because I like to swim, and sometimes when I swim, I always see honeybees or bees in the pool, and they're like dying, and they inadvertently fell into the pool. And so I spend a lot of my time taking my goggles off and just saving them and scooping them out of the pool, because who am I to say that my life is more important to them? And I've never gotten stung by a bee, knock on wood, but I know in some weird way I feel like it's because they know that I care. Queen Bee told them, yo, don't touch Phil. And what's interesting is that even, and I don't want to jinx myself, but even if I got stung by one, the way that I operate is that I would be honored. You know, you reach a point in your evolution where you don't deem things bad or good anymore. You really see the beauty in the ups and the downs and the highs and the lows. But going back to what I was saying, because I digressed, going back to what I was saying, and you're probably going to notice that my energy is very different in this video, and that's because I pre-recorded it. And when I'm pre-recording, I'm less prone to feel your excitement, right? When there's 800 people in a room, that's a lot of energy coming at you. But I like both versions of who I am. I like when I get, a little riled up. I like when I get a little fired up because I'm kind of feeling your excitement and I'm feeling your energy, or I'm picking up thoughts in real time that you're having. But when I'm pre-recording, I'm able to create a lot of spaciousness within my mind, almost like to give myself a latitude. It's like I give latitude. There's a certain degree of latitude, and then I can come back down and play with that space and juggle these balls and have more fun with it sometimes. But it all depends upon my mood. And this morning I wanted to be really present and remain in this very mellow energy because it feels very comforting to speak from this place when I feel mellow. And again, it all depends on what I'm feeling from moment to moment. I love every color in the rainbow. Um, I love every color in the what do you call them? The not the paintbrush, but anyways, I love all the colors. I love all the flavors. I love all of it. So we always want to honor our bodies and follow that resonance of what feels right, what feels comfortable, what feels easy, what feels joyful, what feels correct. So going back to what I was saying is that you're going to feel like there are crickets in the field right now, or that you're on a lake and you're laying on your canoe or in your canoe, and your guides are saying there's nowhere to go, just be here, and you're holding a space for the cells in your body to recode themselves, because from one perspective they hold all these different numbers and patterns, and as you hold that space for them, they are going to be able to help you transform from the inside out. Because as your DNA reconfigures itself, you are transforming yourself and you are raising yourself into these higher frequency bandwidths. And if you don't hold a space and you're constantly interrupting that process, which we do a lot of all the time, when you speak out of turn, right? When someone's speaking with you over a coffee or over a tea, and you chime in and you speak out of turn, that's kind of you missing a transformation that could have occurred in real time had you just held that space for that person, which is really just saying that you're holding a space for yourself and you're tempering those energies from within you. You are teaching them a new way. You are teaching them to listen. You are teaching them grace. But again, never ever condemn yourself if you speak out of turn. It can be very endearing because you're enjoying yourself and you're having fun. So again, it's all a matter of your perception, but that's just an example. Like to really try to pinpoint the activity, monitor yourself, right? It's like you're monitoring yourself and you're gauging whether or not you should speak out of turn. You're gauging whether or not you should call an ex. You're gauging whether or not you should follow a message you're getting from your guides, or maybe discern whether or not it has your highest good in mind. It's all a game that we're playing here of separation, and then through the reflection of what's being presented, you're able to come into a greater measure of your own mastery. And so this is a game of separation, and the whole game was designed for you to unify from within by discerning what is resonating with you in that moment. And that can change from moment to moment, to moment. It can change from second to second to second, and from minute to minute to minute. So we don't want to be so tethered to our beliefs that we say, this is who I am, this is the end and be all, I know everything. No, you just want to be present from moment to moment and decipher the messages and ask yourself, is this incoming message really resonating with me as truth? And if not, then obviously it's propelling me to truth. And so it didn't show up accidentally. It showed up because it's part of the game that I've constructed for myself, or that I've built for myself, to come into a greater measure of my own self-mastery. So right now, you're being asked to hold a space for everything that's going on in your life, for yourself and for yourself, for yourself and for yourselves, so that they can rewrite themselves and rewrite your story, so that they can now act as the impetus for forward movement in your life. And those are two words that have been coming in really strongly for me this entire week. Forward movement. Forward movement. Okay? And remember if you're being called right now to let go of people from your past, which are really just energies that are swimming in your ocean of the now. They're swimming in that lake around you as you lay on that canoe. Those energies or those people, if you're being asked to let them go, don't try to place a definition on what that may mean. Are you letting them go forever? Are you done for good? Don't do that, because again, that's just your ego trying to find some sort of a familiar ground so that you can feel safe. Okay? If there's any movement going on or thoughts you're having about someone rotating within your field or hovering around you, it's all for the purpose of your personal expansion. And as you serve that expansion and you show up for yourself, you are then lending that frequency for the sake of universal expansion, because everything that you do from within yourself expands the entire cosmos. Please remember that. Please remember that. You're fanning out the energy, okay? You are dispersing that energy. And it's almost like a big bang that happens from within you. And if you are the universe, then there's a big bang happening within the universe. So you're going to feel right now like you're over and done with certain people in your life. Like you just want to close the lid and place finality on things. And I highly advise you against that, because anytime I've personally said I'm done with that person, karma's a bitch, my friends, okay? And that usually backfires, and there's a consequence to every choice. And if your choice is coming from a place of contraction, and you're like, I'm done with that person, that's a contracted state to be in. What that's going to ensue as is a consequence, a karmic repercussion, that in a year or two, you're going to miss them and then you're going to reach back out to them. All right? We're being called now into the space of no time. In this now moment, I'm not gelling with that person. And yet in this now moment, that person's popping up into my mind, because the energy that story holds, okay, is an offering from the universe, to further myself, to deepen myself, to come into a greater understanding of who and what I am. So don't fight what shows up in your now moment. Because if you try to aggressively close the lid on that, or place finality, or assign a definition of what you want that to mean for you, that's really just a false illusion. It's a false game that you're playing in. That's just your ego looking for or trying to grab anything that is familiar to it, which is usually drama. And it's like, I'm done with that person. And really, you're just doing yourself a disservice, because that's going to backfire in the future. You're going to find that maybe you were a little too abrasive, or maybe you were a little too aggressive in your reaction. And whenever you're in a state of contraction rather than expansion, that contraction will always reappear at another now moment to show you that you were a little too rigid, to show you that you were a little too uptight. And remember, this path is about loosening yourself. It's about loosening those structures that you've been holding in place for so long, that have disabled you from really coming into that expanded state of consciousness. You're loosening those structures, right? Oh, why are my shoulders so tense? Why are my feet not planted into the ground? What am I still fighting off unconsciously or subconsciously? So what the guides are saying right now is, you're being asked to move forward without placing a definition, or without attempting to put what you've gone through in a category. All right? If someone has fallen off and they're not reaching out to you anymore, they're not showing that they're interested in you anymore, they're not showing you that they care, just know that you are still cared for immensely. And that person right now is on their own respective path. It might be personal towards you. It might not be. But remember that everything that's showing up emotionally for you, and the guys always say, planet Earth is a planet where we get to uncover these different emotions. We get to work with our emotions. Our job is not to focus on the physical form of things and when something is going to manifest and when something is going to get spit out into your reality in a material way or in a tangible way. Our job, you guys, this is so important. Our job, you guys, is to focus on the emotions. And as you acknowledge your emotions and you release those emotions, you are releasing the sandbags that are keeping your air balloon from floating up. All your air balloon wants to do is float up. It's excited to float up. That is your native frequency. Your native frequency is that you can fly. Your native frequency is that you want to float up like an air balloon. But you have all these sandbags that are representative of your belief systems, your earthbound beliefs, your limiting ideologies about this reality, these fears that you still hold. And so our job is to release those emotions or these beliefs, because it's not the emotions that you want to release. Yes, it is, and yes, and no, it isn't. It's more so that those emotions that come up for you are usually tied to a belief that you still have about life or about yourself or about people around you, which is all one and the same. And as you release those beliefs, okay, by acknowledging your emotions, then you're releasing the sandbag that's keeping your air balloon anchored into the ground. And then you can naturally and organically start to lift into the sky as the sky that you are and the sky that you've always been, or as the celestial being that you've always been. So from one perspective, we are disentangling from the spider web of materiality by untethering from these earthbound beliefs that we hold within our system so that we can float back up into our native frequency, or float back in and plug ourselves back into the truth of who we are, which is that we are these angelic beings of light encased within this human form. So remember, don't get vengeful or don't get vindictive, or don't attempt to punish people and say, I'm done with them for good, because all you're doing is you're putting them in a category, you're putting yourself in a category, and that's not going to allow your wine. You know, when you open a bottle of wine, when you uncork that bottle, you have to let the wine breathe, okay? So that the flavors can settle in, so that the flavors can come to life. So what you want to do is let it breathe. You are being entrained right now to really immerse yourself in the now moment while having the recognition that everything that's outside of this now moment is, from one perspective, meaningless, because it's a game of separation. And when you are in your now, when you are in your heart, when you are in alignment with all that you are, then you're tending to everything that is seemingly outside of you, when really it's just coming from within you. So that's your greatest service, is to be present, because when you're present, then you're aware and you can monitor yourself and you can really identify what's coming up for you. And then you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that everything that's coming up for you is what the universe wants you to serve in this now moment. And if you serve what's coming up in this now moment, then you know that you are lending your highest frequency to what needs to be served. You are lending your frequency to what needs to be served, to what needs to be supported, to what needs to be seen by you, to what needs to be acknowledged by you. And while you're doing that, someone else might be doing something else to then serve what's coming up for them. And we work together, all of us together, as this concert of energies, as this synergistic conglomerate of beings of frequency who are able to serve from different angles and different directions. That's how it works, my friends. Okay. So I think this was good. Again, just a quick review or recap. You're being asked to move forward in your life, unquestionably so. Every time you backtrack and you focus on your past, just know that it's not serving you if you're wanting to take physical action on it. Because again, you are being trained by your guides right now to focus on the emotion, not on the physical form, not on what his name or her name is and what they look like and how you wish they could have showed up for you. No. That's all a story. It's a story that keeps you in a frequency loop. You understand? It's a frequency that keeps you in a frequency loop. Our job is to tend to these emotions. These emotions are subtle. They cannot be seen, yes? So what happens when you tend to what cannot be seen? You start to acclimate to the unseen. And when you acclimate to the unseen, you're able to manipulate energy fields that are unseen, which naturally results in things that are seen that match the frequency of what is unseen. That's so good. Rewind, play, rewind, play. You see? And also, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. That really means a lot to me. It allows the message to circulate and to reach more people. And we want to reach as many people as we can because we are all part of the one. Okay, is there anything else? Forward movement. There was something else I mentioned earlier. Yes, I talked about the guys a little bit and what they are. And, okay. All right, yeah, I can share that. So they're saying that the way that you feel when you address people lets you know, or is a clear indicator of where you're vibrating. How you feel is a clear indicator of where you're vibrating. Now, we don't need to quantify that, okay? We don't need to figure out what frequency hertz you're vibrating at, but the way that you're feeling, because remember, we're working with subtlety, so forget numbers, forget all of that. Like, this is a multidimensional universe. The way that you're feeling is a clear indicator of where you're vibrating. And I love that this dovetails with what I spoke about earlier. If you create from that space of contraction, then you're only going to breed more of that. So if you say, I'm letting go of this person and I want nothing to do with them anymore, I'm writing them off, then that's eventually going to backfire itself because you created that from the space of contraction. And like a boomerang, you threw it and it came back as the same energy. Okay, so then you're going to start to miss them and pine for them. And then by the time you do that, they're going to want nothing to do with you because you were so aggressive and so abrupt with them. Do you see? We don't want to be so cold with people that we psychically attack them. We don't want to be so cold with people that we say, you know what? I'm writing you off. I'm done with you. Is it fun to play that game sometimes? It depends on where you're vibrating. I think back then in high school, I loved being a little shitster, but we eventually have to mature ourselves into a new way of being. Into a new way of being. Do you see? So they're saying that pay attention to how you feel as you speak with people. Pay attention to how you feel as you entertain different thoughts. And the way that you feel is never going to lie to you. You see, that's a built-in engine that you have, that God bestowed upon you, that the universe created for you, so that you can always have that inner barometer and ask yourself, am I going in the right direction right now, or should I make a U-turn? And so pay attention to how you feel. If you find that you're in a conversation right now, because there's a lot of debates going on right now in the world, if you're in a debate and you're not feeling good as you're debating, it feels more like an ego energy, that lets you know where you're vibrating. So love yourself enough to withdraw and get back to you, because you are the single most important thing in this universe. If your energy isn't intact, if you're not vibrating at the highest frequency, then again, you're not able to serve the emotions that want to be served by you and through you in this now moment. Everyone else is serving the lower energies, okay? So how are you going to stand out from the crowd? How are you going to be different from others? Yes? Well, you're going to start entraining yourself to those higher frequencies, yes? And allow them to reshape this entire reality through the vessel that you are, through the instrument that you are. And now you're not just a piano that's playing one note, or you're not just a violin that's playing one note. You are a multidimensional instrument. You're an instrument that can play 1,000 notes at the same time because you're so highly aware and you're so highly attentive to what comes up for you. This is the path of spirituality, my friends. So are you up for the challenge? I say let's double down on being these majestic beings of light who refuse to oscillate at a frequency that is less than divine. Let me repeat that. This is good for me too. I'm always learning. We are these majestic beings of light who refuse to oscillate at a frequency that is less than divine. We are the example. We are the physical evidence of masterhood, of angelhood, of galactichood. We are the examples. We are the physical evidence of what it's like to embody the energy of the angels, of the ascended masters, and the galactic beings who are all around us, who are us, and who wish to emit a frequency through and from us. Beautiful. I just got a chill. Thank you guys. If you'd like to donate, I highly appreciate it. Donation-based work is my favorite kind of work, to be honest with you. So if you would like to donate and support my messages, every donation helps. And my link is philgoodlife.com/donate. philgoodlife.com/donate. I will attach a link below. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. And I love you guys. I'm sending you infinite blessings. Sprinkled with light code, sprinkled with angelic feathers that are tickling you, and loving you, and acknowledging the totality of who you are. And with that, I leave you. And I bid you a good day, and I will see you and speak with you in another version of the Now.